Hey, party people, it's Thrive O'Clock. And you know what that means? We're here, Rachelle and Mel. My name is Melody McAllister, coming in live from Alaska with my beautiful friend. And I was going to say sidekick, but really I'm your sidekick. So, Rachelle, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Melody. And we are each other's sidekick, right? I mean, there's never a dull moment with us. And I look forward to these days so much, Mondays and Fridays, to have fun and to connect with you. And if we have a guest, and if not, then you and I make the best out of the time. And my face always hurts from laughing, but it's always good. But yeah, I'm excited. We just got our 500th member in our Thrive and EDU. I feel like confetti needs to go off.
Yes!
And if there was a prize, I need to see like who was the 500th. So it's been growing. I've been really excited about that and reaching out to different communities and inviting people to join in. So please invite people to join us. We like to have fun, but we like to share what everybody's doing. I've been trying to post some different blogs, and I know you've done that in this group too this week. And I think we need this space more than ever because things are exhausting, and I'm excited to have our guest today, but I will let you introduce our guest and we'll bring her up. But yeah, looking forward to today, and hopefully people join us and ask questions. Yes. Facebook user, come on.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today, whether you're in our Facebook community or whether you're on Twitter, wherever you are. Thank you. Please join us in this conversation. And today we have an amazing guest who has so much great knowledge to drop, and she's been reflecting. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to bring up our guest, Miss LIndsay Titus. How are you today, LIndsay?
Hi, everyone. So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. And where are you coming in from?
I am just outside of Rochester, New York.
That's incredible. So you both are on the East Coast and I'm on the way West Coast. We're like, this is a global connection. It's amazing. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I just started year 15 in education, which still blows my mind. And I think it's funny because anytime someone says it, I think they always say, and it still blows my mind. But it's so true. And I started out in the classroom, actually. I started out as a kindergarten through second grade self-contained special education teacher. Quickly figured out that teaching in the traditional sense wasn't actually what I wanted, and that I really loved behavior. And I really wanted to study behavior. Why? I would go home. Why do the kids do what they do? What's going on? You know, what I know isn't working. And so I went back and I became a board certified behavior analyst. And really the last 10 years, I've been doing a variety of roles related to behavior consulting, really helping teachers actually and staff understand behavior. And that's where I am now. I work for one of our local public school districts, and I'm a K-12 behavior specialist. And then outside of that, I run Define University, where I do educational coaching and presenting on all things behavior and mindset.
That's amazing. And you're so young. You're simple enough. That's great. Awesome. Hey, Erin, she said hi. So good that you're in here. So what does that look like? Like your K through, did you say K through 12? I mean, what does that look like right now in your situation?
Yeah, so we have 10 buildings, 10 buildings in my district. And so currently this year we have a lot of options. So we have some students that are full remote, and we have some students that are on 4 days a week for some of our more specialized programming. And then we have most of our students are 2-day hybrid. So they're on campus 2 days, they're home 3 days. And so really, I have a caseload that does have students with behavior intervention plans or behavior consult hours, but really I'm a district support, which I actually love because I get to support where it's needed. And so really looking at, sometimes that's a training, sometimes that's, I work directly with the student to model their plan and problem solve in the moment. Some days I clear my schedule for the week and I am in it and I am like, let's experience it so we can figure it out. And so for me, that's the really cool part, is that flexibility. And so right now I'm supporting kindergarten through seniors, both at our on campus as well as learning from home remotely.
Wow, that is really incredible.
So I love it. I've always been someone that wants something different every day. I need, even in a day, I have no problem going from, kindergarten room to seniors. I love that. Keeps me on my toes. And so it just keeps me moving. So I absolutely love it. It keeps me energized. And for me, that's where it's all about. When we keep our energy high, I think we can tackle those problems with that solution-oriented mindset. as opposed to getting weighed down by the overwhelm.
Okay. And so that kind of brings us to what we were talking about before we went live. You've been reflecting a lot this week on the overwhelm, and we've seen it all over social media. Teachers are feeling really overwhelmed right now, and there's no shame in that. Like, October has always been a really hard month for us, and it's kind of like surviving October to December, but then you throw all of the pandemic issues on top of that, the hours, the nonstop hours that many educators are facing. So tell us about what you've been reflecting on this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a huge reflector to begin with. I reflect every day. I'm always looking, what can I learn from today? What can I do different? How can I be better tomorrow? And one of the things I love that you said, there is no shame in the overwhelm. Overwhelm happens, right? It happens in life. And I think and this was true for me. So way back, even 15 years ago when I started, I quickly burnt out. I was trying to do all the things and I realized I couldn't. And on one hand, I knew I couldn't, but I still tried and I still wanted to do it. And for me, what that was all about, and what I see a lot of teachers doing now is finding that next best strategy, the next best way to engage our students, the next best thing to do remotely, the next thing to try. And what I found myself saying all through this week was, let's bring it back, right? Scale back to the basics, scale back to what we know is best. And even when it comes back to relationships and connection, how do we do that? We do that we can do that even with a mask on, through I see you. We can do that through creating a little sign of a caring gesture to our students. We can do that where if you've got to put grades in your grade book, can your grade be a simple survey that the student fills out about them? So you've got a grade for your grade book and you're learning from your students. So, I'm hearing I have to do this, I need to do this. And one of the quotes I live by is get out of shouldville. Because when we hear I should do this, I should do that, you're doing it for something outside of you. And as educators, we've got hearts of gold. Everybody that's an educator has a heart of gold. But when we start doing things for other people, we lose sight of who we are. And for me, when I can anchor in and trust into who I am as an educator, well, then I get to shine bright. And then you're going to make that difference. And hopefully that overwhelms people.
Yeah, I love that. Stop shitting all over yourself, okay? Shitting. I said shitting, Rachelle. I didn't.
Wait. Okay. Edit. Delete. Edit. Blooper. Beep.
No, I didn't say the bad word, but I've always thought that too, Lindsay. I'm with you.
Oh, because my audio kind of cut out for a little bit, so I was trying to make a sound, whatever that is. But the overwhelm, and Lindsay, when you said about the get out of shouldville, it reminded me because you contributed a story about the get out of shouldville for one of my upcoming books. So I can't wait. But that's so true. And the overwhelm right now is overwhelming. What else am I going to say? But a couple of things, I love seeing on Instagram, you have just these videos and just listening to you talk or your podcast. I don't know how you do all that you do because you have so many things that you're providing and so much that you're involved in that I can't believe that you can find a way to help others figure out how to not be so overwhelmed. So I do enjoy listening to those. I catch them on Instagram when I can, and which I don't know. I try to take a break from social media sometimes, but it is really difficult. And October is usually a stretch. I know for so many years for my school, as teachers, we didn't have a day off until the Thanksgiving break. The kids had days off, which could have been PD or there was one clerical. And when you get to the clerical days, you can breathe because you're just doing your grades or whatever. And, it's just you can listen to music, you can be in your room, but then the PD days are usually tough, but it still gives you that break. But thankfully the last, 3 years we've had off Monday in October, kind of like a fall break. And before we had PD on those days, but the last 3 years, the first time that happened, I went, wait, what? We don't have school on this day? This is fantastic. You get that middle break before it's August. The next day we have off, technically it's Thanksgiving. But this year has been especially, of course, difficult for everybody. And I am tired, but things like this rejuvenate me. My interactions with my students, with our meetings in teams and those funny moments, making the best of it definitely helps a lot for me, I know.
And I like what you said about getting back to basics. And even, I am schooling my own children. I have 4 kids at home that I'm schooling, and I even had to do that. I was thinking I I'm not getting enough done. I'm not getting enough done. And then I thought, oh my gosh, we're all feeling like completely railroaded right now. Yesterday, we just read the whole day. I just wanted my kids to read, just to enjoy reading, because there's nothing that I can make them do in a workbook that will give them a love of reading unless they just love reading. So, and something that you said earlier, Lindsay, is just like, when you get back to basics, like what are the basics that make you feel fulfilled? Like you were saying, Rachelle, what are the things that you do with your students that reset, and get you back to that joy when you're feeling that overwhelm, or you feel like those days that are just like piling up before our break? How do we give those resets to ourselves? I'm just curious what y'all do.
I think the one thing too is to create, when I was in the classroom, and I actually have it now, it's just on my phone, I have a what brings me joy list. So in the classroom, I had one there on just simple activities to do, because I think what happens, and this happens in the midst of, crisis behavior, but also just in the midst of kind of all the things going on behavior, is that it can be really hard to figure out in the moment, what can I do right now? But when you have that tool that you can go look at. And so for me, I always anchor into connection and relationship. So what is it that I can do to get to know the students in my classroom? Or for me, as I'm going class to class, it's how can I connect with either these students or these teachers to really help, share joy among what I'm doing. And so one of the things I do going in and out of rooms is I use what's called a door trigger. Anytime I walk through a door, I tell myself some positive self-talk. I say, like, I get to help, amplify this teacher. I get to help boost the confidence of this teacher. How lucky am I that I get to share, in this space with this amazing teacher? Because what I was doing before was, oh my gosh, what am I going into? What's going to happen today? This is so stressful. And if you go in with that mindset, that's what you find. So by doing that and by realizing I get to amplify someone in here, how amazing is that? I now go in with a different set. And I think even as teachers, if we can do that, instead of starting the day with, oh man, what's going to happen today? I got to do all these things by 3:00. It's, what magic can I find today? What meaning can I find? Even in the messy moments, there is magical things that are happening, and trust in who I am. So for me, those are it. And the one tool I always tell teachers to put in their classroom is a mirror, to remember who you are. And so even on those days where you're like, man, nothing is going right, stand in front of that mirror and say how much you love yourself, because at the end of the day, that is what we can control, is who we are. And so for me, it's all about, bringing it back to those moments. And I think just taking it and finding joy in those little moments, but having what works for you ready to go when you need it.
Okay, I love that. Where's the mic? We can throw it on the
I know who Facebook user is that just posted a comment. I just have to say, it has to be, I'm pretty sure it's Dave.
That would be my guess.
It has to be Dave. I'm just like thinking ahead so we could find out. But yeah, that was a total mic drop, right? There was a GIF that I saw, and I forget who it was for. A friend of mine I sent it to, and it was somebody sitting in the chair, and it was a box full of mics, and they just dumped all of them all over the place. But yeah, that's so true. I did have a mirror in my classroom. Oh, it's Merce. Okay.
Oh.
Merce, yay. Love her. But yes, in my classroom, I had a mirror that I put on the wall. And one day, I mean, it was just there. I don't even know why it was there, but a couple of times I could catch, like, the kids, you could see the reflection in the back of the room, what they were doing. And I was like, oh, this is kind of useful for me when I'm writing on the board and I can't see, the whole eyes in the back of my head kind of thing. But then one day I just had it there because the kids were sitting there, like, trying to look at their phones and look at their faces and everything. And one day it was gone. Like, where's the mirror? And somebody had taken it and they had it, like, propped up on the back of the desk in front of them. And I'm like, what are you doing? But I like your idea of having a mirror so much better than what it was being used for in my classroom. But having those things to look forward to, or like the positive self-talk and stuff, it is hard. Like, there are some days where I think, oh my gosh, am I gonna, like, what am I even doing today? Everything fails or something. And the way that I get through a lot is just laughing out loud at myself in front of my students for whatever it is that happens, and just trying to be funny and make light of what is not, I mean, it's not an easy situation by any means. And it is exhausting. I mean, by 10 in the morning, I'm thinking, wow, I still have 5 more hours of staring at myself on the computer. But it's those interactions with them and trying to have fun and mix it up a little bit and get to know them, which I don't know, that's not the easiest thing to do virtually, but look at us as educators, how many people we've been able to connect with and build relationships with that we've never even necessarily met in person. I mean, I knew Melody for a long time. Then next thing you know, we were like hanging out in Nashville, writing together. But yeah. Sorry.
I think that the mirror can do dual purposes. It can be to be the eyes in the back of your head, and it can also be to remember who you are. I mean, let's get real. Like you need both purposes. And there are days where you just feel like, man, this is just a crap day. I mean, I love how you're being real, Rachelle. So it's like, this is the kind of positivity that we need. It's okay to be real, and it's also okay to laugh at yourself, and then to do the next day what you need to do for whatever, for yourself and for your students. So it's great. This is amazing. I am going to bring up something, and I hope that you were thinking about this, Lindsay, because I don't want to take you by surprise, but we've been doing something, we call it Rose and Thorn, Sweet and Sour, because of our friends Lainey and Brianna, who do the Lemonade Learning. So we have our Sweet and Sour. And for those of you who are watching, Elizabeth, Aaron, if you're still out there, and a few other people, tell us, what are the good, we'll start with the positive. What are the good things that happened this week that really filled your cup and kept you going? Either one of you can start.
So mine actually happened today. So I have been, one of the cool things of my job is I get to work with kids for really a long time. So this is my 3rd year in my district. And so it's the 3rd year that I've worked with some of these students. And because I'm in 10 buildings, I don't see them every day. So it's taken some time to really get to know these kids. And I went and I was doing just a check-in, just an observation on one of my students today. And I snuck in the back, and it was during AIS reading time, which is a tough time because he's not a fan of reading. And I was just watching, and he noticed I was there. And then it was time for him to do some silent reading. He usually did it with his adult support. And he looked right at me and he goes, "I'd like to read with you today." And I was like, okay. I'm like, yes. And so I always try to add a little humor. He's in 7th grade. So I said, do you remember who you is? Or I think he might have said her. And I was like, remember who her is? And he knew my name. And he said, could I read with you? And I was like, yes. So we spent like 20 minutes reading this graphic novel back and forth. And it was so simple, but there's so much joy in those simple moments. And to see where we've come over the last 2 years. One, I was so proud of him for being in class and doing his work and inviting me in, but that invitation in, because he had been so closed off for so long, I was like, yes, this is what it's all about. And it doesn't happen overnight. This is year 3, but we're just building up steam and we're moving forward. So for me, that was that moment today.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Rachelle, what about you?
I gotta think. No, it's so hard to think about it after the week because the each day in itself feels like a week sometimes. And so just trying to go back. I mean, for me, every week the sweet is kind of just whatever interactions I have that make me smile. So like throughout the class, at the end of the class when we end, and sometimes it's a minute or two early, and I'm trying to really be mindful of like getting them away from the screen, but it's also kind of difficult because we're doing the different activities. But every time I leave the class, I mean, just their humor just makes me laugh. The banter back and forth between some of them, if we're playing a game, like say Quizlet Live, for example, they're going back and forth. And today it was kind of funny because I used to always, if a student would ask me a question, I'd be so quick to give them the answer. Like, here's what the word is, here's what the answer is. And so I really had to force myself to just breathe and not be so inclined to do that. But today we're playing this game and they're asking, well, what's this word? What's this word? And I kept giving the answers. So they were getting mad at me and they're like, oh, great, thanks. Now you just made the giraffes lose. I'm like, sorry. But the interactions between them and seeing how they are building relationships in this space and hearing that. And then just even the things they say to me or like the messages that they send just make me smile. Sometimes they're just silly, funny, memes or GIFs or GIFs or whatever you want to call them. But just the way that they say, goodbye and thank you. And I don't know, it just makes me smile and thankful that I am a teacher and I have the chance to work with students. And even on days where I feel like I can't do this, it's too hard, I'm not going to make it through. Like it just takes one of those things and that's it. I get through the day and on to the next day.
Wow. I thank you for being real about that, because everybody experiences that. Even I experienced that. And I love that you were able to find even more joy through the silliness. Facebook user, who I think is Elizabeth, or I'm not going to say he or she, it was so fulfilling to watch my kiddos listen to a 10-year-old author read her book on a Zoom meeting. They were awestruck. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Facebook user. The Facebook user just makes us laugh. Please don't feel bad when we say that. And then Aaron says, honestly, learning and loving my new job. So each day is sweet. That is great. That is great. Please keep sitting your sweets in, and we're going to get to your sours in a second. I would say that my sweet was just like, so last week I hit a wall. I was very honest with you. And I don't know, like, I know that you could tell, Rachelle, but I hit like this where my mind was so foggy. I didn't feel like I could like do any of my roles well. So I took the weekend kind of off to just get back in touch with my family. And then this week I finally feel like I'm myself again. And like I said yesterday, we just did a reset, just reading books with my kids. We made apple cider because it's winter here. We have snow on the ground now. So it's chilly. And my husband's like, it's your turn to go to the store. And I'm like, I am not equipped to go out to cold weather. Forget it. So I thought I'll make some apple cider. It was fun to give that experience, or have that experience with my kids, because when I was in public school, I did a lot of those things with my students. And I forget that my own children need that just as much. I take it for granted. Like, we go through our work, we get things done, but they need those experiences that they can also remember, and they deserve that. Mm-hmm. Oh, Stacy, and Facebook user is Stacy. Thank you for letting us know.
Stacy, guess where Stacy lives, Melody? Just take one wild guess.
And is she in Alaska?
Would I be so excited about somebody living in Alaska? Like,
why are you telling me?
Because you,
Pennsylvania?
Melody.
Oh my God. Okay, Nashville. I'm sorry. It took me a second. Stacey,
do you not know me? Do you not know me? Stacy.
Nashville. Oh my gosh. Thank you for joining in. You just made another sweet
That's
thing.
So funny. That was a moment, almost like the day we went 10 minutes where you didn't notice that I wasn't in my big chair.
You're crazy. You're totally crazy.
It is Friday.
So we've shared our sweets. Oh, wait. Oh, no, we have another sweet because we're about to get to the sour. So everybody gets that bad thing on your mind. Just, you're sour. Just kidding. So sweet, one of my littles asked another one of my littles to be, oh, that is so sweet. That is so sweet.
So cute.
Okay. And now it's time for the sour. What was the sour of the week? Anybody want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, go first.
I can't believe you didn't know. Oh, there goes a cat. I can't believe you didn't know about Nashville. So my sour of this week is, it's been like an ongoing thing. And I laugh about it a little bit when I talk with my students about it, but it's really difficult. And I know for teachers, just assessing in general, assessments is always a hot topic. It's a struggle. It's challenging. But for me as a language teacher, it is really challenging because I've been doing battle for years with online translators. And now we have the answer keys for textbooks and workbooks all online. So all you have to do is find the book, open the page, copy it down. And you have to make better questions or better ways to assess them. And so it has been a huge struggle. And so this past week, I had given a test and they had to write some sentences from English to Spanish. And of course, I'm not there. We're not in the same physical space. So I don't know if they look things up. But then one of the parts was having to resequence. So logic would think that if you can write the sentences in English or whatever language, translating it, that you should be able to put them in the proper sequence. But they couldn't. So then I put time together and I made like a sentence scramble because I'm really trying to give them good ways to practice where there's no stress on conjugating verbs or all of that. It's just figure out the words, put them in the right order. But there was still copying, like really a ton of copying. And so my sour is I'm struggling with trying to find ways to give them the practice that they need because I want them to build the skills. And it's hard. Like it's really, really hard to do that. And so my sour this week was I thought that I came up with a good idea in a way that was really different, that I can't just Google and find the answer. And it didn't go as well as what I thought. So that's kind of my sour. Whether that's really a sour or not, it's an opportunity for me to learn, to keep trying to do better. But
it's okay if it's a sour. I'm sure the only person out there, educator out there, that is experiencing this. It's okay for it to be a sour, even if it is a learning moment. It's okay. All right, Lindsay, what about you?
So I was in a meeting the other day. It was a virtual meeting. So even though our students are on campus, all of our meetings are virtual with parents or staff. And I don't know if it was the virtual component to it, but it was really hard for me. So we had the student was there, which I love, because I love when students are involved, and it's their meeting, it's about them. And to keep it nice, like the parents were just really negative. And so it was really hard, as a school team, we're trying to tell strengths and really share like how successful, because in comparison to previous years, his year has really been stellar. He's putting in more effort. He owned like what he's doing well. He owned where he's messing up. Like he wasn't trying to hide it. And it was really hard I felt like I was just constantly like doing like poker face with my face, because, on virtual, I don't have a mask to hide my, facial expressions. And I was just in really like disbelief on how negative this conversation. And for me, in those moments, though, that's where I get silent. Like that's my goal for, this year, is to really voice when there's disagreement, voice when there's that little bit of like contention. And I kind of like got that like deer in the headlight, like, oh my goodness, how do we respond to this? And luckily from a team, we all kind of gave our input, but it was just really hard to hear, a parent have that voice, and then the kid be on there listening to it and be kind of stuck in it. And so I left like, what do we do differently? How do we do better? And it wasn't anything I wanted to take on, but I just kind of left that meeting like, man, here we thought we're doing great. He's doing great. And it just was an odd feeling after that.
Yeah. I can imagine. Erin says no sleep is her sour. And Erin also says, I know it seems minor, but juggling work and a 2-year-old at the same time all day, every day, sleep is way more critical, because I can't just take it easy that day. It's not minor.
That is not minor.
It's not minor at all. I feel like sometimes we think that like what we're going through must be minor compared to other people, but really like not having sleep, that it really does pile on and makes everything feel tougher. So Erin, yes. And both of you, all of you, a lot of us are struggling with the same thing. And sometimes there's no easy answers, and it's okay. Like Lindsay, I don't have a solution for you. There really is no solution. It just sucked, and that's what it is, I would have to say my sour is just feeling at odds with myself. I guess that's self-talk. I like how you said about the mirror, because I was really struggling with my self-talk, because I felt like I wasn't doing good enough in all the roles that I have. And everybody was getting the short stick of me. And so I was just like in this self-defeating cloud for like a good part of a week. And I didn't know how to get out of that. And that was my sour. And I'm sure that, like I said, like a lot of us are feeling that way. So thanks everybody for being brave and sharing that. There's not always going to be solutions, and it's okay. And it's definitely a learning process, like you said, Rachelle, but it's okay if you're really just like kind of irritated with the whole sour part of the week. I totally get it. And feel free, anybody that's watching, we still have a couple minutes if you want to share. I do want to say, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, I'm putting your information out here. I hope that more people will follow you. It's Titus 828 if you want to follow her on Twitter, and on the scrolling thing on the bottom, Define You University. Tell us really quick about that.
Yeah, so Define University, it's, again, educational coaching. So I say I'm passionate about two things. I'm passionate about human behavior. I'm passionate about our minds. And so I really aim to connect those together. So how do we change behavior? It starts within. So my goal is to coach educators to, break down beliefs, understand who we are, trust in who we are, so that we can then apply the strategies we learn and read and see, but doing it from a place of having that like personal power in who I am. So I'm going to do it no matter what. And if it fails, that's okay, because I get to try again. And so we really look at breaking down those beliefs that can hold us back, so you can really launch yourself forward and ignite your legacy and who you truly are as an educator.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're about to go. And it's been great to have you on here. Are there any last words that anybody wants to say before we go? Any last thoughts?
Yes.
Go for it, girl.
It's nothing groundbreaking. I'm just going to say that I didn't realize who answered because it was Facebook user. I just figured that Stacy said that it was Nashville, but it was actually Erin. Erin knew Nashville because on a podcast before she asked me the question, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? And I was like, you already know the answer to that question. So no, last words. Just Lindsay, thank you for joining us. And thanks for everybody for joining in with us today. If you want to come on and join Melody and I, let us know. We would love to have you, and invite your friends to join our community here, because we now have 500 members and it's growing, which is really exciting, really exciting. So
it is. It is.
And we'll be back Monday with, I got to think who's coming on Monday. I don't want to have a spoiler. Oh, wait, that's right. That's right. I know who it is now.
Should we tell? All right, y'all are in for a treat. Join us back here on Monday. I'm not going to ruin the surprise.
Nope.
Thank you for joining us, Rachelle. It's always amazing to be in your presence. I'm sorry, Lindsay. Any last words? I just cut you off.
Just thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Thank you.
This is my problem. I get ahead of myself, like, And thank you, Erin. Thank you, Elizabeth and Stacy, for joining us and sharing with us too. We will see you on Monday. Until then, take care of yourselves, and we look forward to just talking with you in our community. Bye, everybody.
Bye.